Welcome, future billionaires! Every Sunday, we bring you insights designed to elevate your life. Today, we are exploring the hidden curriculum of wealthy families, the crucial lessons rich parents teach their children that most others do not. This isn't about inherited money, it's about inherited wisdom and mindsets that grant a distinct advantage. Regardless of your background, understanding these principles can empower you to transform your own life and build a stronger foundation for future generations. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe. Let's uncover these powerful secrets together. 1. Understanding how money works. Rich parents initiate discussions about money from a very early age, demystifying it and treating it as a fundamental tool of life, much like language or mathematics. They do not hide financial realities or shy away from explaining how the world's economy operates on a micro and macro level. For these children, understanding money goes far beyond just knowing how to count it. They are taught the basics of budgeting, the concept of saving for future goals, and even simple principles of investing, like the idea that money can grow over time. They might participate in discussions about household expenses, learning about bills, utilities, and the real costs of living. They see their parents discussing investments, charitable giving, and financial planning, making these concepts a normal part of their daily lives. This early exposure helps them grasp the value of exchange for services provided and the effort required to earn. They quickly realize that money is a lot harder to earn than it seems, fostering a sense of responsibility and appreciation. In stark contrast, many households with fewer financial resources often keep money conversations a secret, or worse, only discuss it when there is a problem or an argument. Children in these environments may hear about a lack of money, the stress it causes, or the difficulty of earning it. This often leads to associating the entire concept of money with negativity, fear, or scarcity. They might grow up with a vague understanding of how their parents earn, how expenses are managed, or how taxes work. This financial illiteracy can unfortunately persist into adulthood, making it difficult for them to make informed financial decisions. They might struggle with managing debt, understanding compound interest, or seeing opportunities for financial growth. Rich parents actively teach their kids about concepts like gross versus net income, the difference taxes make, and how inflation can erode purchasing power over time. They explain how a bank account works, what a credit score is, and why it matters. For instance, an allowance might be tied to chores or responsibilities, but it is not just given. It comes with lessons on how to divide it into categories like spend, save, and give. They might even be given a small amount to invest in a pretend stock market game or a real low-cost index fund, allowing them to see their money fluctuate and grow. This hands-on, practical education makes money less abstract and more tangible, empowering them to become financially literate and capable adults who can navigate the complexities of personal finance with confidence. This early financial literacy is a cornerstone, equipping them to make informed choices, avoid common pitfalls, and actively work towards their financial well-being throughout their lives. 2. The difference between an asset and a liability. One of the most foundational lessons rich parents impart is the clear distinction between an asset and a liability. This simple yet profound concept dictates their entire approach to wealth building. In the simplest terms, an asset is something that puts money into your pocket, while a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. This distinction becomes a lens through which they evaluate every purchase, every investment, and every financial decision. Rich parents encourage their children to ask a critical question before acquiring anything significant. Is this going to generate income for me, or is it going to cost me money? For many people, particularly those struggling financially, this distinction is often blurred or entirely misunderstood. They might view a new car as a necessity or a large house as a good investment, without fully grasping the ongoing costs associated with maintenance, insurance, and depreciation. They often spend their hard-earned money on things that rapidly lose value and require continuous financial outflow, like a brand new smartphone, designer clothes, or entertainment systems. These items, while providing comfort or status, are liabilities because they do not generate any revenue and instead demand money to keep running or to maintain. Rich parents, on the other hand, focus intensely on acquiring assets first. They might buy a rental property that generates monthly income, invest in a business that pays dividends, or even create intellectual property, like writing a book or developing software that generates royalties or recurring revenue once completed. Their goal is to build a portfolio of income-producing assets. The truly crucial point, which is often misunderstood by outside observers, is how these assets relate to luxuries. When you see a wealthy person with a fancy car or an expensive watch, it is rarely purchased directly from their active earnings. Instead, their assets pay for their luxuries. They might use the rental income from 2 apartments to lease a high-end car, or the dividends from investments to pay for a vacation. This strategic approach ensures that even when they indulge in luxuries, their core wealth-generating engine remains intact and continues to grow. When they eventually tire of the luxury item, the assets are still there, still producing income. For the viewer, applying this principle means a fundamental shift in perspective. Before any significant purchase, consider its true financial impact. Is it taking money out of your pocket, or is it potentially putting money in? This simple mental exercise can transform spending habits, leading to a focus on acquiring income-generating properties, investing in stocks or businesses, or creating intellectual property. It is about building a robust financial engine before spending on items that only deplete resources. By prioritizing asset acquisition, you lay the groundwork for genuine financial independence, allowing your money to work for you rather than you constantly working for your money. 3. You are not entitled to anything. Being born into a wealthy family undeniably offers significant advantages: access to better education, resources, and a safety net that many others can only dream of. However, rich parents, particularly those who built their own wealth, understand that this head start is not a guarantee of success, nor does it breed entitlement. In fact, they view entitlement as one of the greatest threats to inherited wealth. They know that prosperity can be lost if future generations lack the drive, work ethic, and humility that created the initial fortune. Therefore, one of the most vital lessons they impart is that, despite their privilege, their children are not entitled to anything. Success must be earned through their own efforts, resilience, and contributions. This lesson directly counters the common stereotype of the snotty rich kid who believes the world owes them everything. While such individuals certainly exist, they are often the product of parental failure to instill this core value. Rich parents actively work to ensure their children understand that family money can only go so far and that their future success depends entirely on their own actions, hard work, and responsible choices. They might make their children earn their allowance through chores, require them to work summer jobs outside the family business, or insist on them paying for certain personal expenses once they reach a certain age. These actions teach the value of a dollar, the effort required to earn it, and the satisfaction of self-sufficiency. A well-known phenomenon in multi-generational wealth is the shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations curse. The first generation, often the founder, is driven by hunger and works tirelessly to build significant wealth from scratch. The second generation, growing up with the wealth, often focuses on maintaining it, perhaps through good stewardship, but may not possess the same raw hunger as their parents. By the third generation, a sense of entitlement can often creep in. These individuals may have lost touch with the sacrifices and effort that built the fortune, feeling entitled to success without work or sacrifice. They might spend lavishly, make poor investments, or simply lack the drive to grow or even sustain the family's assets, leading to the rapid depletion of wealth. Rich parents actively combat this by instilling a strong sense of personal responsibility, accountability, and the understanding that wealth is not a given. It is a dynamic entity that requires continuous effort, smart decisions, and prudent management to grow and endure. They teach their children that while they have been given incredible tools and resources, the journey ahead is long, and they must remain focused on personal growth, skill development, and contributing value to the world. They emphasize that there is always more to lose if one is not careful, and therefore, the pressure to perform and be diligent is constant. By understanding that everything can be taken away, if one is not performing, children learn to cultivate a sustained drive and a deep appreciation for hard work, ensuring they do not become victims of inherited entitlement, but rather capable stewards of their own destiny. So, how to be sociable and connect with other people. The ability to genuinely connect with others and navigate social situations with ease is often seen as an innate quality. But for wealthy families, it is a skill deliberately cultivated from a very young age. Rich parents understand that strong social skills are not just about being polite. They are a fundamental building block for success in every aspect of life, from career opportunities to personal relationships. They begin socializing their children exceptionally early, often before the age of 4. This might involve enrolling them in structured playgroups, early childhood education programs that emphasize interaction, or simply regular exposure to diverse social settings. The reasoning behind this early focus is rooted in understanding human behavior and the snowball effect of positive social interactions. If a child learns to behave well, share, communicate kindly, and resolve minor conflicts respectfully from a young age, other children will naturally want to play with them. This positive behavior also makes other parents more comfortable and willing to supervise or include their child in activities. This seemingly small start has massive implications throughout life. A child who is liked and respected by peers and adults alike tends to receive more positive attention. Teachers might treat them better, providing more encouragement or extra help. They might gain access to better job opportunities through networks built over years, as people are more inclined to help those they like and trust. They will also likely form deeper, more supportive friendships, contributing to their overall well-being and happiness. This goes beyond mere etiquette. It involves teaching active listening, empathy, the art of conversation, and understanding nonverbal cues. Rich parents model these behaviors and encourage their children to practice them. They understand that a person who can build rapport, communicate effectively, and maintain strong relationships possesses an invaluable asset that money cannot buy. This social capital can open doors that talent or intellect alone might not. It is the ability to walk into a room, engage with people, and leave a positive, lasting impression. This skill is critical for networking, forming partnerships, leading teams, and even negotiating deals. In contrast, children from less privileged backgrounds might not receive the same intentional focus on early social development. Parents might be too busy with work, lack the resources for structured social activities, or simply not recognize the long-term importance of these soft skills. This can lead to children who are more socially awkward, shy, or struggle with effective communication, which can hinder their progress in school, career, and personal life. While social skills can certainly be learned later in life, the early foundation provided by wealthy parents creates a significant advantage. It allows their children to develop natural confidence and competence in social interactions, paving the way for a lifetime of open doors and stronger relationships. As the original script correctly highlighted, Dr. Jordan Peterson's work on early socialization underscores this critical point, emphasizing that the ability to be pleasant and well-behaved opens up a tree of benefits that compounds over time. 5. Stop expecting immediate results and avoid magical thinking. We live in a world that increasingly caters to instant gratification. Want to watch a movie? Stream it instantly. Hungry? Get food delivered in minutes. Need information? Google it in seconds. This culture of immediacy has subtly, yet profoundly, reshaped our expectations, leading many to believe that complex achievements like wealth and lasting happiness should also fall into this instant category. Rich parents, however, consciously teach their children to resist this pervasive societal trend and instead embrace a mindset of long-term thinking and patience. They understand that true wealth, significant success, and deep fulfillment are the results of sustained effort, strategic planning, and delayed gratification, not sudden windfalls. Poor people, often trapped in a cycle of immediate needs and desires, are more prone to magical thinking when it comes to financial success. They might harbor a deep-seated hope of getting rich quickly through a lottery win, a sudden inheritance, or some unforeseen stroke of luck. This expectation that their lives will somehow magically become better without consistent, deliberate effort can be incredibly detrimental. The irony is that even if they were to suddenly acquire a large sum of money, their lack of financial education, long-term planning skills, and understanding of asset management often leads them to squander it all rapidly, returning them to their previous financial state. This is a well-documented phenomenon with lottery winners and sudden inheritors. Rich parents, on the other hand, make it a priority to teach their kids to play the long game. They emphasize the power of compounding, not just in investments, but in skills, relationships, and knowledge. They encourage patience and persistence, showing through their own actions that significant achievements require sustained effort over extended periods. For example, they might explain how a small investment today, left to grow over decades, can become a fortune, or how consistently working on a skill for many years leads to mastery and significant career opportunities. They highlight that building a successful business takes years of dedication, overcoming challenges, and iterative improvements, rather than a single brilliant idea. This long-term perspective is one of the most distinguishing characteristics of the wealthy. They understand that life is not about quick wins, but about strategic positioning and consistent progress over large batches of time, 5, 10, even 20 years. As Bill Gates famously said, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. This quote perfectly encapsulates the essence of long-term thinking. While many might set New Year's resolutions with a 1-year horizon, rich parents encourage their children to think about what they want to achieve in the next decade, or even 2 decades. This shifts the focus from superficial, short-term gains to foundational, deeply impactful changes that truly transform a life. By instilling this mindset, rich parents equip their children with the patience, perseverance, and strategic foresight needed to build enduring success and avoid the pitfalls of instant gratification and magical thinking. 6. How to create daily habits that provide incredible advantages. One of the most valuable, yet often overlooked skills rich parents instill in their children is the ability to intentionally create and leverage daily habits. They understand that habits are not just rote routines. They are the invisible architecture of a person's life, quietly determining their trajectory. The cumulative effect of small, consistent actions performed daily can lead to incredible advantages or disadvantages over time. They teach their children that once a habit is formed, which typically takes around 21 days of consistent effort, it becomes almost automatic, requiring less willpower and becoming a natural part of who they are. Rich parents model and encourage the adoption of highly productive habits from a young age. This might include a habit of daily reading, even for just 15 minutes, which compounds into vast knowledge over years. It could be a consistent exercise routine, fostering discipline and physical well-being. It might involve organizing their workspace at the end of each day, leading to improved workflow and reduced stress. They understand that success is not usually the result of one giant leap, but rather thousands of tiny, consistent steps. By making positive actions habitual, these tasks become less of a chore and more of an automatic process, freeing up mental energy for higher-level thinking and problem-solving. In stark contrast, many individuals from less affluent backgrounds may not be taught the power of habits, or worse, they may nurture toxic habits without realizing their destructive long-term impact. This could manifest as habits of procrastination, impulsive spending, excessive passive consumption of entertainment, or a general lack of organization. These negative routines, while seemingly minor in isolation, compound over time, leading to stagnation, missed opportunities, and a decline in overall well-being. The power of habit is truly a tool that magnifies whatever you feed it. If you feed it wealth-creating actions, it compounds wealth. If you feed it negative routines, it compounds ruin. Rich parents are meticulous about which habits they instill in their children because they understand that children learn far more from what their parents do than from what they say. They might show their children how they plan their day, how they manage their finances, or how they dedicate time to learning and personal development. For instance, instead of just telling a child to read more, they might create a family reading time, or ensure books are readily available and discussed. Instead of just saying eat healthy, they prepare nutritious meals and involve the child in the process. This direct modeling makes the adoption of positive habits more likely and sustainable. By equipping their children with the skill to consciously form and maintain beneficial habits, rich parents provide them with a self-correcting mechanism and a powerful engine for continuous growth, ensuring they are always moving forward and building towards their goals almost on autopilot. 7. Money is a tool, and it's a good thing. The cultural narrative around money is often fraught with negativity. How many times have we heard phrases like, "Money is the root of all evil"? or seen portrayals of wealthy people as inherently greedy or unhappy. This pervasive negativity often stems from a lack of understanding or personal financial struggle. For many, especially those who have experienced scarcity, money can become associated with problems, arguments, and moral compromises. This deeply ingrained negative perception can ironically become a self-fulfilling prophecy, sabotaging their ability to attract, manage, and grow wealth. If you believe money is evil, you subconsciously push it away or feel guilty when you acquire it, leading to poor financial decisions. Rich parents, however, hold a fundamentally different view. They understand that money is merely a tool, and it is a good thing when used wisely. They teach their children that money is not inherently moral or immoral. It is an amplifier. If a person is kind and generous, money can amplify their ability to do good in the world, supporting causes they care about, or helping others. If a person is selfish or destructive, money can amplify those negative traits. The tool itself is neutral. Its impact depends entirely on the hand that wields it and the intentions behind its use. They demystify money, reducing it from an abstract, loaded concept to a practical instrument for navigating life, exchanging value, and achieving goals. It is just pieces of paper and plastic, or digits in a bank account, that we agree to exchange for goods, services, and opportunities. This pragmatic view liberates them from the emotional baggage often attached to money. Rich parents openly discuss how money can be used to invest in businesses, create jobs, fund scientific research, build infrastructure, support charities, or provide for their family's well-being and education. They teach their children that money can buy comfort, security, choices, and experiences, none of which are inherently evil. They might involve their children in charitable giving, demonstrating how money can be used to alleviate suffering or solve societal problems, reinforcing the positive utility of wealth. They highlight how money can buy access to better healthcare, better education, and more time for personal pursuits, all of which contribute to a higher quality of life. Consider the analogy of scissors. Scissors are a tool. You can use them to cut hair, craft beautiful art, or open a package. But you could also, theoretically, use them to harm yourself or others. The scissors themselves are not evil. It is the intention and the way they are used that determines their impact. The same applies to money. By instilling this money as a tool mindset, rich parents empower their children to view wealth pragmatically as a resource to be managed and leveraged for positive outcomes. This perspective removes guilt, fear, and shame from the pursuit of financial success, encouraging them to pursue wealth ethically and to use it as a powerful force for good in their own lives and in the world around them. When you stop taking money so personally and instead view it for what it was created for, an instrument of exchange, the game of financial success suddenly changes, allowing for greater intentionality and positive impact. 8. Increase income. Instead of lowering expenses. This lesson highlights a fundamental divergence in financial philosophy between the rich and the poor. For many, particularly those with limited resources, the primary focus of financial management becomes cutting expenses. While frugality and mindful spending are certainly important, particularly when starting out, an obsessive focus on lowering expenses often stems from a scarcity mindset. It implies that resources are finite, and the only way to manage is to shrink one's needs, often to the point where life feels restrictive and joyless. Do rich people worry about buying a $5 coffee from Starbucks or spending a little extra on a movie ticket? Not in the grand scheme of their finances. Their attention is elsewhere. Rich parents teach their children a more expansive, abundance-oriented approach, focus on radically increasing income. They understand that while there is a definite limit to how much you can cut from your expenses, you cannot go below zero, there is virtually no limit to how much income you can potentially generate. This principle encourages thinking big and creatively about earning rather than just about saving. It shifts the entire dynamic from a defensive, scarcity-driven posture to an offensive, growth-oriented strategy. They explain that the same amount of effort, or even less, if intelligently directed and strategically supported by knowledge, can yield vastly different financial outcomes. Consider the example of a Wall Street broker versus a miner. Both work hard. However, the broker, leveraging financial knowledge and strategic thinking, can generate significantly more income for their effort. because they are operating in a domain where value is created through intellect and leverage rather than purely physical labor. This is not to diminish the value of any work, but to highlight that the type of work, its leverage, and the knowledge backing it are key determinants of income. Rich parents instill in their children the belief that their time and energy are best spent on activities that generate higher revenue. They might encourage entrepreneurship, skill development that commands higher wages, or investments that produce passive income. They teach them to identify opportunities for growth, to add value in ways that others are willing to pay for, and to continuously seek ways to expand their earning potential. This could involve learning how to negotiate for higher salaries, starting side businesses, or investing in assets that appreciate and generate income. The core idea is simple. If you significantly increase your income, you will almost always have a substantial amount of cash left over at the end of the month, even after covering expenses. This surplus can then be directed towards investments, further increasing assets and income, creating a virtuous cycle. This contrasts sharply with the approach of constantly trying to squeeze every last penny, which can lead to stress and a feeling of deprivation. By combining this focus on income generation with the lesson of distinguishing between assets and liabilities, lesson number 2, rich parents equip their children with a powerful financial framework. Generate more money, use that money to acquire income-producing assets, and let those assets pay for everything else. This is a profound difference in behavior that over time leads to true financial freedom and abundance. 9. Knowledge is more valuable than money in the long run. This lesson, while seemingly counterintuitive in a discussion about wealth, is profoundly true for rich families. They embody the adage, invest in yourself, it pays the best dividends. While money is essential, they teach their children that true, sustainable wealth is built upon a foundation of continuously expanding knowledge, evolving skills, and an increasing capacity to provide value to the world. They understand that a person who possesses valuable knowledge will always be able to generate money, because they can create solutions, innovate, and adapt to changing market demands. The reverse is not always true. Having money without knowledge can lead to its rapid dissipation. This concept goes far beyond simply attending school or reading books, though those are certainly components. It is about actively increasing one's intrinsic value. The world rewards those who are valuable because valuable people can create immense value for others. And in exchange for that value, they can command significant compensation. Rich parents therefore prioritize learning, critical thinking, and skill acquisition above all else. They foster an insatiable curiosity in their children, encouraging them to question, explore, and master diverse subjects and abilities. They understand that formal education is just one piece of the puzzle. Continuous self-directed learning is just as, if not more, important. Contrast this with the mindset often prevalent in less privileged communities, where the concept of becoming a valuable person in the marketplace might not be explicitly taught. The focus might be on securing any job, rather than developing skills that make one indispensable or highly sought after. Rich parents encourage their children to identify areas where they can excel, to cultivate unique talents, and to understand how those talents can solve problems or create opportunities for others. Whether it is mastering a complex technical skill, developing exceptional leadership abilities, understanding intricate financial markets, or honing creative talents that captivate audiences, the underlying principle is the same. The more you know and the more proficient you become at applying that knowledge, the more valuable you are. They emphasize that becoming valuable takes time and consistent effort. There is a common adage, often attributed to Malcolm Gladwell's interpretation of Anders Ericsson's work, that it takes roughly 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to achieve mastery in any complex field. While the exact number is debated, the underlying truth resonates. Sustained, intentional effort over a long period is required to become truly exceptional. Rich parents encourage their children to try a variety of activities early on, not just for fun, but to give them a head start on accumulating these hours in areas they might develop a passion for. They provide resources for lessons, tutors, and specialized programs, understanding that these are investments in their child's long-term earning potential and capability. By instilling this deep appreciation for knowledge, skill development, and continuous self-improvement, rich parents equip their children with an asset that cannot be lost, stolen, or devalued: the power to generate wealth and create value in any circumstance. 10. Don't work for money. Have money. Work for you. This is the very epicenter of how the wealthy build and sustain their fortunes, and it represents a profound philosophical shift from how most people interact with money. The vast majority of individuals operate on the principle of exchanging their time and labor directly for money. They work a job, earn a salary or hourly wage, and then spend that money to cover their living expenses. This creates a perpetual cycle where their income is directly tied to their active working hours. As soon as they stop working, their income ceases. This is the definition of working for money. Rich parents, however, teach their children a different paradigm: how to make money work for them. The goal is to build systems, businesses, and investments that generate income independently of their direct, hour-by-hour labor. This concept is often referred to as passive income, though it rarely starts out entirely passive, often requiring significant upfront effort and smart management. They understand that true wealth and financial freedom come from decoupling income from time. Many people believe you need large amounts of money to even begin investing or creating passive income streams, leading to inaction. Rich parents, however, instill the understanding that even the smallest drops in the bucket of passive income are worth pursuing. They encourage their children to look for ways to leverage their initial earnings or small amounts of capital to create more money. This could mean starting a small business with minimal capital, even less than $100, by leveraging skills or time. The key is to generate revenue, and then crucially, to reinvest that revenue. The core strategy is to use the money generated from a business or initial investment to pay for others to do the work that was once done by oneself. For instance, if a child starts a successful lemonade stand, they might learn to eventually hire a friend to run it, while they focus on expanding to other locations or developing new products. On a larger scale, this means building a business, and as soon as it generates enough revenue, using that money to hire employees, automate processes, or outsource tasks. This frees up the entrepreneur's time to focus on strategic growth, innovation, or starting other ventures, rather than being bogged down in daily operations. This concept of passive income and understanding how to use money to generate more money is the foundation for any sustainable wealth-building strategy. It is why we often recommend Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad as the first financial book anyone should read. It clearly illustrates this fundamental difference in mindset and approach. By teaching their children this principle, rich parents provide them with a blueprint for creating financial independence, allowing them to accumulate wealth even while they are sleeping, traveling, or pursuing other passions. It is about building a financial engine that keeps running, providing them with choices, security, and the ultimate luxury: time. 11. Solving problems is the quickest way to get rich. One of the most fundamental distinctions rich parents teach their children is the difference between simply getting paid and truly getting rich. The vast majority of people get paid to perform repetitive tasks that someone else needs done. This could be answering phones, delivering packages, or performing a specific function within a larger organization. These are single-activity jobs where the work is often routine and easily outsourced or automated. While necessary for earning a living, this kind of work rarely leads to significant wealth. Rich parents, conversely, teach their children to focus on solving problems. They instill the understanding that wealth is directly correlated to the scale and complexity of the problems one can solve for humanity or for a large segment of it. The bigger the problem you fix and the more people you solve it for, the richer you stand to become. This shifts the mindset from being a task doer to being a solution creator, from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. They encourage their children to observe the world around them, to identify inefficiencies, unmet needs, or pain points that people experience. They might frame everyday frustrations as potential business opportunities. For instance, the original script mentioned how delivering the newspaper became content websites. This illustrates evolving problem solving. The need for information delivery remains, but the method has changed from manual delivery to digital platforms, which reach billions and scale infinitely. Similarly, answering the phone evolved into automated messaging and now advanced AI, reducing the need for human receptionists. These shifts happen because someone identified a problem, inefficiency, cost, limited reach, and created a better solution. Think about iconic modern entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos. They did not get rich by doing repetitive tasks. They got super rich by identifying massive, widespread problems and creating innovative products and services to solve them. Elon Musk tackled inefficient transportation and energy systems. Mark Zuckerberg aimed to solve the problem of global connectivity and social interaction. Jeff Bezos solved the problem of convenient, wide-ranging access to goods. In each case, their immense wealth is a direct reflection of the immense value they created by solving problems for millions, or even billions, of people. Rich parents instill this entrepreneurial spirit by encouraging their children to think creatively, to not just accept the status quo, and to constantly ask, how can this be done better? Or, what need isn't being met? They teach them that people will happily pay money for effective solutions to their problems. This focus on problem solving empowers their children to become innovators, creators, and leaders, rather than just cogs in a machine. By understanding this fundamental principle, children are set on a path where their income is not capped by hours worked, but rather by the scale of the impact they can have on the world by addressing its pressing needs. 12. Not to waste time on things that do not correlate to the real world. This lesson is not about devaluing education, but rather about being pragmatic and strategic about where time and resources are invested, particularly in formal academic settings. Rich parents, especially those who are self-made, often hold a critical view of parts of the traditional educational system, which they perceive as disconnected from the realities of the modern marketplace. They observe that many degrees, while intellectually stimulating, do not always directly translate into tangible, high-value skills or job opportunities that are in demand. While they may certainly value a well-rounded education, rich parents tend to guide their children towards majors and skills that have a clear correlation to real-world applicability, problem-solving, or entrepreneurial ventures. They might question the return on investment for degrees in fields like ethnic or gender studies, journalism, film and media, history, or fine arts, not because these subjects lack intellectual merit or personal enrichment value, but because they often do not have a direct, strong, and immediate link to profitable career paths or market needs that can justify significant student loan debt. They feel that the system often repeats outdated curricula with blatant disregard for the rapidly changing future job market. This perspective stems from a deep understanding of economic realities. They see students accumulating massive debt for degrees that may not lead to jobs that can pay back those loans, or for jobs that no longer exist due to automation or shifts in industry. They teach their children to evaluate their educational choices through a lens of utility and future potential, alongside passion. If a child is truly passionate about an area like fine arts or history, rich parents might encourage them to pursue it, but simultaneously guide them to understand how to monetize that passion independently or combine it with a more market-relevant skill. For example, a passion for film could be combined with learning about digital marketing or business management to understand the commercial side of the industry. The emphasis is on acquiring marketable skills, abilities that are directly valued by employers or customers. This could mean STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, finance, or highly specialized trades. They recognize that real-life experience, internships, practical projects, and continuous skill acquisition outside of traditional academic institutions often provide more valuable learning than purely theoretical coursework. They are also keen on avoiding the debt trap, often opting to pay tuition outright or encouraging scholarships for fields with higher earning potential. Ultimately, this lesson is about intelligent resource allocation. Time, like money, is a finite resource. Rich parents want their children to invest their time wisely, acquiring knowledge and skills that will empower them to create value, solve real-world problems, and build financial independence. They teach their children to critically assess whether the time, effort, and financial investment in a particular educational path will genuinely lead to their desired outcomes in the complex and competitive real world. 13. How to use good debt instead of bad debt. For most people, the concept of debt is inherently negative, synonymous with burden, stress, and financial struggle. They are often taught to avoid debt at all costs, or only use it for major purchases like a home or a car, which ironically, they often use to acquire liabilities. Rich parents, however, have a nuanced and sophisticated understanding of debt. They teach their children that there are two distinct types of debt: bad debt, which makes you poorer, and good debt, which can make you richer. This is a crucial lesson that most people never learn. Bad debt is money borrowed to purchase depreciating assets or for consumption. This includes high-interest credit card debt for daily expenses, loans for luxury goods like new phones or designer clothes, or even car loans for a vehicle that immediately loses value once driven off the lot. These types of debt drain your finances, costing you more than the original purchase price due to interest, and they do not generate any income in return. They are a direct path to financial struggle, as they lead to a constant cycle of paying interest without building any equity or generating new revenue. Good debt, on the other hand, is money borrowed with the explicit purpose of generating more money. Rich parents teach their children to view debt as a tool, a form of leverage that can accelerate wealth creation when used strategically. Banks and investors are often very willing to lend money for projects that have a clear business plan and a high probability of generating returns. This is because they understand that they are not just lending money, they are investing in a profitable venture that will repay them with interest. Examples of good debt include a loan to purchase a rental property that generates consistent monthly income, a business loan to expand a profitable venture, or financing to acquire equipment that will increase productivity and revenue. Rich families understand that they do not need to pay for everything out of their own pockets. They can leverage the capital of others, banks, private lenders, investors, to fund large-scale projects that would be impossible to finance otherwise. Consider how skyscrapers are built. Developers do not pay for the land or the construction costs entirely out of their own savings. They secure massive loans from banks because they can present a solid case that the building, once completed, will generate substantial rental income or sales, making the bank's investment safe and profitable. This lesson is about understanding the purpose of the debt. Rich parents teach their children to ask, will this debt help me create an asset that generates income, or will it just lead to more expenses? They instill the discipline to only take on debt that has a clear, positive return on investment. By mastering the strategic use of good debt, their children learn to scale their ventures and accelerate their wealth accumulation far beyond what they could achieve using only their own capital. This sophisticated understanding of financial leverage is a hallmark of the wealthy and a powerful tool for building substantial fortunes. 14. 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. Pareto Principle. This lesson, often known as the Pareto Principle or the 80-20 rule, is a powerful tool for efficiency and strategic focus that rich parents subtly, or sometimes explicitly, teach their children. The principle states that roughly 80% of outcomes or results come from just 20% of inputs or efforts. This mathematical ratio has been observed across various domains. In business, 80% of revenue often comes from 20% of customers. In personal productivity, 80% of your accomplishments might come from 20% of your tasks. In a team, 20% of employees might be responsible for 80% of the impactful work. Rich parents leverage this principle to guide their children's efforts and time management. This is why, surprisingly to some, they might not obsess over their kids being top of the class or achieving perfect scores in every subject. They understand that striving for that last 5 or 10% of perfection often requires a disproportionately massive increase in effort and time, the 80% of effort for 20% of marginal gain. This intense academic focus might come at the expense of other crucial areas of development that yield far greater real-world returns. Instead, rich parents encourage their children to identify the most impactful 20% of activities or subjects that will provide 80% of the desired outcome. For example, in school, this might mean focusing deeply on core subjects and concepts that are foundational for their future career or entrepreneurial ambitions, rather than dedicating excessive hours to perfectly memorizing every detail for a minor increase in a grade point average. They believe there is more value in experimenting in the real world, developing practical skills, building relationships, and pursuing extracurricular activities that teach leadership and resilience than in being perpetually confined to studying for marginal academic gains. This principle teaches children to be highly efficient and discerning with their time and energy. It helps them prioritize, identify what truly matters, and avoid getting bogged down in low-impact tasks. For example, a child might be encouraged to master the 20% of fundamental math concepts that are used 80% of the time in practical applications, rather than spending excessive time on obscure theorems they may never use. In sports, it's about focusing on the 20% of drills that yield 80% of performance improvement. We first encountered this powerful concept in Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek, which applies it to productivity and lifestyle design. Richard Koch's The 80-20 principle delves even deeper into its widespread applications. By understanding and applying the Pareto principle, children learn to allocate their resources, time, attention, and effort strategically. They learn to avoid diminishing returns, focus on what truly moves the needle, and achieve significant results without necessarily needing to work more hours. This strategic approach to effort allows them to excel in key areas, develop a broad range of skills, and have more time for the real-life education that truly prepares them for success in the dynamic world. 15. Having money doesn't make you a better person. It just solves some problems. This lesson is a crucial counterpoint to many societal assumptions about wealth. When people imagine the wealthy, they often picture arrogant, detached individuals who believe their money makes them superior. While such personalities exist, they are often the exception rather than the rule. And often, their arrogance is a cover for deep insecurities or inherited rather than earned privilege. Rich parents, particularly those who built their wealth through hard work and determination, understand a profound truth. Money is a powerful tool for solving financial problems and providing comforts of the body, but it does not inherently make you a better person, nor does it guarantee peace of mind or happiness of the soul. They teach their children that true character, integrity, humility, and respect for others are values that transcend financial status. Many successful individuals cultivated these very qualities on their road to riches, understanding how valuable humility and a strong moral compass are for building trust, maintaining relationships, and navigating complex business dealings. They know what it feels like to start from less, and this experience often fosters a genuine empathy and groundedness. They emphasize that while wealth opens doors and provides choices, it cannot buy a clear conscience, genuine love, true friendship, good health, though it can buy access to better care or inner peace. This lesson ensures that their children remain grounded and do not equate their net worth with their self-worth. They are taught that while it is perfectly acceptable and even something to celebrate to be successful and have money, one should never be ashamed of it, nor should one use it to belittle others. Instead, money should be seen as a responsibility, a resource that can be used to make a positive impact on the world, not just for personal gain. They instill values like kindness, generosity, and respect for people from all walks of life, recognizing that everyone has intrinsic value regardless of their economic status. This perspective helps children avoid the common trap of chasing money for the wrong reasons, believing it will solve all their problems or validate their existence. Instead, they learn that money is best pursued as a means to an end, to gain financial freedom, to provide for their family, to invest in meaningful ventures, and to contribute to society, rather than an end in itself. They understand that a life well lived is a balanced one, where material comfort is combined with strong relationships, personal growth, purpose, and inner peace. By teaching that money solves problems of comfort and access, but not problems of the heart or spirit, rich parents equip their children with a more holistic view of success and well-being, fostering individuals who are both financially capable and genuinely good human beings. 16. To raise their expectations and set ambitious goals. A common piece of advice for happiness often suggests lowering your expectations to ensure they are always met. While this might indeed lead to fewer disappointments in the short term, rich parents teach their children that this approach is antithetical to achieving significant financial success and personal growth. Instead, they instill a relentless drive to raise expectations and set audacious, ambitious goals, then relentlessly pursue them. They believe that the secret to financial success is not to lower your aim to meet what is easily achievable, but to elevate your aim to new heights and then strive fiercely to hit them. This principle stems from an abundance mindset. The majority of people, often due to fear of failure or a lack of self-belief, tend to settle for mediocrity. They play it safe, avoid big risks, and aim for what is comfortable or conventional. While this provides security, it also guarantees a ceiling on their potential. Rich parents teach their children that the competition might be fierce at the very top, but there are definitely fewer players involved. There is more room to maneuver, more opportunities, and greater rewards for those who dare to aim high and truly excel. They encourage their children to think big, to envision a future that is dramatically better than their present, and to believe in their own capacity to achieve it. They instill a powerful belief in continuous improvement and the relentless pursuit of excellence. They might ask their children, would you rather have low expectations and meet them, or would you rather fall short of the highest expectations possible? When you compare the results, even falling short of an incredibly ambitious goal often yields a far greater outcome than perfectly achieving a modest one. For example, if you aim to build a multi-million-dollar company and only reach $1 million, that is still significantly better than aiming for $100,000 and hitting it. This approach requires courage, a willingness to take calculated risks, and a deep understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, but a part of the journey. Rich parents teach their children to define clear, compelling, and challenging goals for their lives, whether in business, personal development, or creative endeavors. They help them break down these grand visions into actionable steps, but the vision itself remains expansive and inspiring. They encourage their children to visualize success, to immerse themselves in environments that support their high aspirations, and to shed any self-limiting beliefs that might hold them back. By teaching their children to consistently raise their expectations and set ambitious goals, rich parents foster a mindset of relentless forward momentum. They cultivate individuals who are not content with the status quo, who are driven by the pursuit of extraordinary achievements, and who understand that true potential is unlocked by daring to reach beyond what seems comfortable or even possible. This ingrained habit of aiming high ensures a life of continuous growth, innovation, and ultimately greater success and fulfillment. 17. The importance of resilience and learning from failure. In a world that often celebrates only success, rich parents provide a vital counter lesson: the profound importance of resilience and the transformative power of learning from failure. They understand that the path to any significant achievement is rarely linear and is almost always paved with setbacks, obstacles, and outright failures. What distinguishes successful individuals is not the absence of failure, but their ability to bounce back, adapt, and learn from those experiences. Unlike some parents who might overprotect their children from discomfort or disappointment, rich parents often expose their children to challenges and allow them to experience failure within a supportive framework. This doesn't mean setting them up to fail, but rather creating an environment where risks are encouraged. Effort is praised regardless of the immediate outcome, and mistakes are reframed as learning opportunities. They might enroll their kids in competitive sports or challenging intellectual pursuits where losing or struggling is a common experience. When a child faces a setback, the focus is not on blaming or shaming, but on analyzing what went wrong, what could be done differently, and how to improve for next time. They teach their children that every successful entrepreneur, inventor, artist, or leader has a long history of experiments that didn't work, pitches that were rejected, or ventures that failed. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work." This mindset is crucial. Failure is not seen as a definitive end, but as valuable data. It provides information about what strategies are ineffective, what skills need development, or what assumptions were incorrect. This iterative process of trying, failing, learning, and adapting is the engine of progress and innovation. This cultivation of resilience also ties into what psychologist Carol Dweck terms a growth mindset: the belief that one's abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work, rather than being fixed traits. Children with a growth mindset view challenges as opportunities for growth and setbacks as temporary. Rich parents foster this by praising effort and process, not just outcomes. They encourage perseverance when things get tough and teach problem-solving strategies to overcome obstacles. By teaching their children to embrace failure as a teacher, to extract lessons from mistakes, and to develop the emotional fortitude to keep going despite setbacks, rich parents equip them with an invaluable asset. This resilience allows them to take greater calculated risks, persevere through difficult periods, and ultimately achieve breakthroughs that those who fear failure will never attempt. It instills a deep-seated belief that they can overcome adversity, which is arguably more important for long-term success than any specific skill or financial advantage. 18. Time as the ultimate finite resource. While money can be earned, lost, and earned again, time is truly the ultimate finite resource. Every minute that passes is gone forever, and rich parents instill this profound understanding in their children from an early age. They teach their kids that how they choose to spend their time is perhaps the most critical decision they will make, impacting their productivity, personal growth, relationships, and ultimately, their overall success and fulfillment. They often model meticulous time management and prioritization. This goes beyond simply being punctual. It involves a conscious and strategic allocation of hours to activities that align with their long-term goals and values. They help their children understand the concept of opportunity cost when it comes to time. Choosing to spend time on one activity means foregoing the opportunity to spend it on another. For example, spending hours passively consuming social media means that time is not being spent on learning a new skill, exercising, building a business, or strengthening family bonds. Rich parents encourage their children to identify high-value activities and dedicate significant blocks of time to them, while minimizing or eliminating low-value distractions. They might introduce concepts like time blocking, where specific periods are allocated for focused work, learning, or creative pursuits. They teach the importance of saying no to commitments that do not align with their priorities, understanding that protecting one's time is essential for deep work and strategic planning. They might also encourage their children to identify unproductive habits and replace them with constructive ones, recognizing the cumulative effect of small time choices over years. In contrast, many individuals, particularly those struggling to get ahead, often squander time without realizing its true value. This might manifest as excessive entertainment consumption, aimless scrolling on devices, or engaging in tasks that are busy but not productive. They might feel perpetually busy without actually moving closer to their significant goals, because their time is fragmented and reactive rather than intentionally managed. By instilling the principle that time is a precious, non-renewable asset, rich parents equip their children with a powerful tool for self-mastery. This lesson empowers them to be intentional about their schedules, to prioritize tasks that yield the greatest return on effort, and to consciously direct their moments towards building a life of purpose and achievement. It teaches them that while money can buy many things, it cannot buy back wasted time, making time management a critical skill for maximizing their potential in all areas of life. This awareness transforms how they approach every day, leading to greater efficiency, focus, and overall effectiveness. 19. The power of strategic mentorship and networking. Beyond simply being sociable, Lesson 4, rich parents teach their children the strategic power of mentorship and intentional networking. They understand that while individual effort is vital, leveraging the experience, wisdom, and connections of others can dramatically accelerate one's progress and open doors that would otherwise remain closed. They actively facilitate opportunities for their children to connect with successful individuals who can serve as mentors, advisors, or future collaborators. This isn't about simply name-dropping or seeking superficial connections. It's about genuine relationship building where value is exchanged. Rich parents explain how a mentor, someone who has already navigated the path you aspire to, can provide invaluable guidance, shortcuts, and insights that can save years of trial and error. They teach their children to identify potential mentors, approach them respectfully, and offer something in return, whether it's their time, unique skills, or genuine enthusiasm. They emphasize the importance of active listening, asking insightful questions, and being receptive to constructive feedback from experienced individuals. Furthermore, they instill the importance of building a robust and diverse network. This means cultivating relationships not just with peers, but with people across different industries, age groups, and social strata. They teach that your network is your net worth, and that opportunities often arise from whom you know and who knows you. This might involve encouraging their children to attend industry events, join professional organizations, or participate in community initiatives where they can meet like-minded individuals and potential future partners. They also teach the art of giving first in networking, understanding that building genuine connections is about offering value to others before expecting anything in return. In contrast, individuals from less privileged backgrounds might rely solely on their immediate social circle or their own limited experience, missing out on the vast knowledge and opportunities that a strategic network can provide. They might not be taught how to approach successful individuals, how to cultivate a professional relationship, or how to leverage connections ethically. Rich parents make it clear that while personal talent is essential, leveraging the wisdom and connections of others is a superpower. They teach that true wisdom comes not just from direct experience, but from learning from the experiences of others, particularly those who have already achieved significant success. This lesson empowers their children to tap into a collective intelligence and an expansive web of opportunities, ensuring they are always learning, growing, and strategically positioned for future success. By fostering a proactive approach to mentorship and networking, rich parents provide their children with a powerful advantage in navigating the complexities of their careers and entrepreneurial ventures. 20. The value of philanthropy and giving back. Beyond personal wealth accumulation, rich parents often instill in their children a deep understanding of the value of philanthropy and the importance of giving back to the community. This isn't merely about writing a check, it's about developing a sense of social responsibility, empathy, and recognizing that wealth comes with an obligation to contribute to the greater good. They understand that true wealth is not just about what you own, but about what you contribute. This lesson cultivates empathy and a broader perspective. Rich parents might involve their children in charitable activities from a young age, such as volunteering at soup kitchens, participating in fundraising events, or visiting nonprofit organizations. They explain how their family's resources can be used to alleviate suffering, support education, fund research, or address pressing social issues. They teach that giving back is not just a moral obligation, but also a way to build a positive reputation, enhance their social standing, and expand their networks in meaningful ways. Many philanthropic endeavors involve collaboration with other influential individuals, leading to powerful connections that can also benefit their business ventures. In contrast, those who struggle financially might understandably be focused solely on their own survival and accumulation, viewing charity as something only for the wealthy or as an impossible luxury. They might not realize that even small acts of generosity or contributing time and skills can make a difference and foster a sense of community. Rich parents often guide their children in understanding that philanthropy is not just about donating money, but also about donating time, skills, and influence. They might encourage their children to join nonprofit boards, lead volunteer initiatives, or use their unique talents to support causes they believe in. For example, a child with strong organizational skills might help a local charity streamline its operations, or one with artistic talent might create promotional materials. This teaches them that their value extends beyond their financial resources. This lesson ensures that wealth is not just pursued for selfish gain, but is seen as a means to create positive impact in the world. It helps children develop a sense of purpose beyond material possessions and fosters a legacy that extends beyond financial assets. By instilling the value of philanthropy, rich parents cultivate individuals who are not only financially astute, but also socially conscious and empathetic, and committed to making a difference, reinforcing the idea that true success involves both personal prosperity and meaningful contribution to society. This holistic view of wealth contributes to a more fulfilling and impactful life, allowing them to use their resources for the betterment of humanity. 21. Cultivating a strong personal brand and reputation. In today's interconnected world, one's name and reputation are arguably the most valuable assets, and rich parents understand this implicitly. They teach their children the importance of cultivating a strong personal brand from a young age, long before they enter the professional world. This isn't about vanity or superficiality. It's about understanding that every action, every interaction, and every word contributes to how others perceive you, and that perception can open or close countless doors. They emphasize integrity, consistency, and reliability. They teach their children that their word is their bond, and that doing what you say you will do is fundamental to building trust. This applies to everything from keeping promises to friends to meeting deadlines in academic projects. They instill the understanding that a reputation for honesty, hard work, and fairness is priceless and incredibly difficult to rebuild once damaged. They might share stories of individuals whose careers or businesses were ruined by a single act of dishonesty or a poor decision that eroded public trust. Rich parents also guide their children in understanding the implications of their online presence. In an age where digital footprints are permanent, they teach responsible use of social media and awareness of how public posts can impact future opportunities. They encourage a conscious approach to how they present themselves to the world, ensuring their online persona aligns with the values and image they wish to project. This means being mindful of privacy, avoiding controversial or unprofessional content, and understanding that future employers, partners, or investors will often conduct background checks that include social media. They also teach the importance of networking effectively and maintaining strong relationships. A good reputation means that people are more likely to want to work with you, invest in you, or recommend you. It means that when your name comes up in a conversation, it is associated with positive traits and competence. They might encourage their children to seek out mentors, volunteer for leadership roles, or participate in activities that showcase their skills and positive character. In contrast, individuals who lack this guidance might inadvertently damage their reputation through impulsive actions, inconsistent behavior, or a lack of awareness of how their actions are perceived. They might not understand that every interaction is an opportunity to either build or diminish their personal brand. By cultivating a strong personal brand and reputation, rich parents equip their children with a powerful magnetic force that attracts opportunities, builds trust, and fosters long-term success. They learn that their character and integrity are their most valuable currency, far more enduring than any material possession, and that investing in their reputation is one of the smartest long-term investments they can make in themselves. This focus ensures that their children are not only financially astute, but also ethically sound and highly respected within their communities and chosen fields. 22. Adaptability and embracing change. The world today is characterized by rapid, often unpredictable change. Technologies emerge, industries shift, and global dynamics evolve at an accelerating pace. Rich parents, particularly those who have navigated multiple economic cycles or founded innovative businesses, understand that clinging to the status quo or resisting new developments is a recipe for irrelevance and decline. Therefore, they diligently teach their children the critical importance of adaptability and embracing change as an opportunity, not a threat. They prepare their children for a dynamic future by fostering a flexible mindset. This goes beyond just being open to new ideas. It involves actively seeking out new information, learning new skills, and being willing to pivot when circumstances demand it. They might encourage their children to explore emerging technologies, to learn about different cultures, and to understand how global events can impact local markets. They emphasize that continuous learning is no longer a luxury, but a necessity for survival and thriving. This lesson often manifests in how they approach education and career choices. While valuing fundamental knowledge, they also stress the importance of skills that are future-proof, such as critical thinking, problem-solving, creativity, emotional intelligence, and complex communication, abilities that are difficult for artificial intelligence to replicate. They teach their children to be proactive in acquiring new competencies, whether through formal courses, online learning platforms, or self-study, ensuring they remain relevant in an ever-evolving job market. In contrast, individuals who are not taught this lesson may find themselves struggling when their traditional skills become obsolete or their industry undergoes significant disruption. They might resist new methods, become fearful of technological advancements, or cling to outdated models, leading to stagnation or job displacement. This resistance to change can be paralyzing, hindering their ability to seize new opportunities that arise from these very shifts. Rich parents teach their children to view change as a constant and, indeed, as a catalyst for innovation and growth. They instill the courage to step outside of comfort zones, to experiment with new approaches, and to iterate based on feedback from a changing environment. They might encourage them to start small projects or side ventures that allow them to test new ideas and adapt quickly. They model this behavior themselves, demonstrating how they learn new technologies, enter new markets, or adjust their business strategies in response to shifts in the economic landscape. By fostering adaptability and a willingness to embrace change, rich parents equip their children with the resilience and foresight needed to thrive in an unpredictable world. They learn that the ability to continuously evolve, innovate, and pivot in response to new information is not just a skill, but a powerful mindset that ensures sustained relevance and opens up endless possibilities for growth and success, no matter what challenges the future may bring. So, there you have it. 22 profound lessons that rich parents consciously or unconsciously instill in their children, giving them an undeniable advantage in life. These aren't just about accumulating wealth. They are about building a robust mindset, fostering deep resilience, and equipping individuals with the timeless tools to navigate the complexities of life successfully, regardless of their starting point. From understanding how money truly works to embracing failure as a teacher, and from valuing time as the ultimate resource to cultivating an adaptable spirit, these lessons form a comprehensive playbook for a life of purpose and prosperity. The most empowering truth is this: you do not need to be born into wealth to adopt these principles. Every single one of these lessons is actionable, learnable, and applicable to your own life right now. Start implementing them one by one into your daily routines and mindset. Begin to shift your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from short-term thinking to playing the long game, and from merely working for money to having your money work for you. As you begin to embody these principles, you will undoubtedly start to see remarkable shifts in your own financial trajectory, your personal growth, and your overall life satisfaction. And most importantly, you can consciously choose to pass this powerful wisdom onto the next generation, ensuring a legacy of capability and clarity. Now, we want to hear from you. What is one lesson from your own upbringing that profoundly shaped your view of money or success? Perhaps it was a piece of advice, a family tradition, or a particular experience. Share it in the comments below. We believe there is immense value in shared wisdom, and your insights can truly benefit others in our community. If you are still watching and you've absorbed these insights, please use the word legacy in your answer to today's question, just to let us know you made it to the very end. Thank you for spending this valuable time with us. If you found this video insightful, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel for more transformative content, and share it with someone who could benefit from these powerful lessons. We are committed to bringing you content that empowers you to build the life you envision. We'll see you in the comments, and back here tomorrow for more insights that aim to transform your potential into reality.